Money Vikings, welcome back to the channel. Money Viking G, back with you for a special one. I want to do kind of a quick video about some of the personal finance books that inspired me to put together our book, Wealth, the Money Viking Way, which is out now. I'll put a link below, so check it out on Amazon. But you can get your own copy right there. I think you will find this packed full of inspirational information for those of us in the middle class trying to build wealth in the modern age. And it's got a lot in here. It's going to take you through defining your true wealth journey. What does that look like for you? Because that is specific and individual. It's personal. So your true wealth journey is not going to look like anyone else's, because for some people, it's going to be about having a lot of nice things. For some people, it's going to be about having a family. For some people, it's going to be having a balance of those things. For some people, it's going to be about art and hobbies and free time. So we all have different things and priorities in life. And some people are very career focused. Some people are very family focused. I tend to be a hybrid of these things. I want a balance between them. That's my version of true wealth that I talk about in the book. And in addition to that, it's got the no-nonsense kind of ways to build wealth. This is not the gimmicky, get-rich-quick kind of scammy stuff on the internet. This is what has worked over 20, 25 years, and it's based on tons of research and things that I've looked into. So, I'll give you one, for example, that's controversial. I talk in this book about how most people should not pick stocks, should not pick individual stocks. And that's after trial and error and after reading the statistics and understanding reality. Most of us should not be picking individual stocks. And I have a whole chapter about strategically diversified portfolios, what it means to have a strategically diversified portfolio with a combination of various ETFs, exposure to the S&P, bond funds, some real estate exposure, etc. And I go into basically the essentials of my ride my bike portfolio is what I call it, because I set it. It's a strategic portfolio. It's not diversified in the way of just owning everything. It's diversified strategically, because I do like to pay attention to macro trends, and I do like to diversify strategically for my own risk tolerance and what I'm looking for over the next 10, 20, 30, 40 years. I even have discussion in here about the place, a place for things like Bitcoin and innovation and gold and options. Now that's a small, I have the bottom line of the percentages in my portfolio in here. That's a small percentage, that's 10%. But, how does that play out? I have some cool drawings about how to balance your portfolio as you become an older Viking right there. And there's just a lot of good stuff like that. But what other books inspired me? Because I've read a ton of personal finance books over the years. The Ramsey books, inspirational. The Rich Dad, Poor Dad, even very inspirational. I don't totally like everything he talks about, but it was inspirational. It taught me a lot about really thinking hard about what is an asset and what's a liability. But one book I really want to highlight, and this is what I hope my book becomes for many people, is a book called Ordinary People, Extraordinary Wealth by Rick Edelman. I think this came out about 20 years ago. I picked it up about 20 years ago. And what it really did for me is something very interesting that I want to talk about. You have to remember, I'm a Gen X. And so I grew up watching the show. Most of you probably watching this do not know what I'm talking about, but you may, I don't know. Let me know in the comments if you know what I'm talking about. There was a show called Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. And I'm forgetting the guy's name, but there was this very suave, debonair English gentleman that narrated the show. And he would do these fabulous tours of mega mansions of the most wealthy people in the world, and he would talk about their lifestyle. It was the lifestyle of the rich and the famous, right? And as a, middle class kid from the suburbs, never lacked for anything in my life, but certainly weren't wealthy, in a financial sense, very moderate. I was just mesmerized by this thing, and it was like, wow. But as I got older, you start to realize that is those are very strange unicorns. Being in that sort of, not even 1%, it's like the 0.001% of wealth, where people are talking about 20 million, 40 million, 60 million, 100 million, billions. Very, very out of touch and out of reach for 95% of us. I understand there's going to be the rare person with the genetics and the drive to be a sports star. There's going to be people that do acting and get that lucky break. There's going to be people that hit all kinds of, they have natural talent, they work hard, and they hit that luck streak, and they're able to, explode into these very high wealth situations. You have to understand, for me, I consider middle class to be a range. I guess generally speaking, I'd say right now at the moment, in my mind, middle class is anywhere from maybe making $70,000 a year, especially, in high cost of living areas, anywhere from $70,000 a year, I would say all the way up to $400,000 a year. In my mind, and I'm talking about combined as a family, that's 70 to 400,000. Most people are going to end up in there somewhere. I understand the 400,000 is way too high for most people, so I get it. It's probably more like for most people, it's probably 70,000 to like maybe 220 tops, right? So most people are going to be in that range. That to me is middle class. I understand there's an upper middle class, there's a lower middle class, and there's a strict middle class. I understand all that, and I'm sure there's strict definitions that you can look up on economics websites and the Bureau of Labor Statistics and all that. But anyway, back to this book. This book showed me the habits of ordinary people that were able to build wealth. And it talked about, the different things that they did, how one of the biggest things was automating into their 401k in the stock fund for decades and basically trying to not mess with it. Just do it for 30 years, 40 years. You're going to have a good amount of money. Is it perfect? No, nothing is, but that pretty much always results in a good amount of money. He talks about how most people that end up, with extraordinary wealth, they do buy a home. I know that's very controversial in the modern age with the way homes are these days, but I still think it can be part of a long true wealth journey. It had these great quotes from these people. And again, these are ordinary people. These are people that made $50,000 a year, $60,000 a year, $100,000 a year. Remember, this was 20 years ago, so you got to do inflation. But, they made very normal salaries. These were people that were, I'll read some of these. These were teachers, contractors, engineers, lawyers, what else? Retired secretary, systems manager, real estate sales assistant. These are all very normal jobs. No one in here is a movie star or a tech titan or a, operates Facebook or whatever. It's not like that. These are, here's a homemaker and a project manager. And what did they do? It says, I began by investing $10 every other week. I was 25 years old. It was hard considering the day-to-day cost of living, but I guess it was worth it. My savings have gone from $10 a paycheck to $1.4 million over the decades. So there you go. It says, he says, I blew it in the beginning too, because I started in the conservative fund versus the more aggressive fund. So anyway, this is one of the books that inspired me. I kept it all these years. I used to tag it with tabs just to like get inspiration and look at it. And that's the kind of book I wrote. It's got that kind of practical, no nonsense knowledge. For example, if you want to reach $1 million status in 20 years, I have a chart in here that tells you how much you need to save each month at 10% return. It just gives you an idea of the goal. I've got top ways to master investing emotions. I write in here, no one beats the market. I'm sorry, it just doesn't happen. Very rare. You know, we're not Warren Buffett's. You have to realize too, these people worked so hard at being, you know, professional investors. And if you look at their track records, a lot of times they only beat the market by 3, 4, 5%. I mean, I think even Bridgewater, you can look at that. Look that up. You'll see what I mean. Developing a long-term mindset, learning and growing, create friction so that you're not making knee-jerk reactions about your investments. You're thinking long-term. You're being rational about it. So that's the kind of book I hope that I put together for you guys. I want it to be something that you can go back to and say, well, let me look at, there's a chapter here about simple financial math. How much do I need to retire if I want $50,000 a year in income for 30, 40, 50 years? Well, I got it right here on a chart. It's right there in a little chart I made. So anyway, just want to share that with you. That was one of the books that really inspired me over the years. Wanted to share that one, and I'll share more in the future, but you know, we get inspiration from many different ways. Take care, everybody. Thanks for watching.